What's the readiness level for your team going into year 2 for you, but year 1 in this league step up?
I'm excited to see what we can do. I like where we're picked because I feel like being the underdog, it lets us have that little bit of motivation and fire in our bellies. But I feel like every day in practice we're getting better and better and learning each other, we've tried to play a different way this year, a different style, so that we can more help, or in the Big 12 we can more have a better, I don't know how you say it, like a better opportunity to succeed. So we're trying to be more read and react, less scripted.
What is that style, kind of more details of that new style?
We want to get out and transition a whole lot more than we did last year. And I feel like we have a little bit more depth this year to do that. And then obviously defensively, we have to start it up higher than what we did last year and lock in a little bit better that way. So we're just really excited for what they've been working on this summer.
Coach, a lot of these other coaches here have talked a lot about playing full court basketball, pressure defense, the whole, I think the Houston coach called it, we eat what we kill.
I love him.
Yeah. Last year there was a little issue sometimes with your team with that. You feel like you're better equipped to play that way this year?
Yeah, we have more depth that has come in, but I also feel like getting to know us, right, and getting to know their strengths. And so we're ready and willing to bring it, and they've put that out there, and they've been preparing for this.
And then up there you said the mantra was kind of fear or faith over fear.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like something you have plastered in your locker room, or is that just kind of new?
No, that's me. I wear it every day, faith over fear. It's how I live my life, because I feel like if you're prepared, and it's not just in basketball, but specifically in basketball, that you go into a game, you can't go in fearless, or you can't go in like fearful, right? You got to go in fearless, and the only way to get that is to make sure that you've prepared and done everything up to that point.
How close are you to being set on a starting 5?
80%, 75%.
Who's the 4 then? If it's 80%, who's the 8? Who's the 4 that are set as starters?
I'm not going to even say that. No, because that changes daily. And so it's like, who's going to have a good practice today? Who's going to show up, right? So and mismatches wise, who are we playing against? So we're going to go small, we're going to go big, like what are we going to do? And so we're trying to learn it all right now.
Is it safe to say that you've got the 7 returning players, or the 5 going to come from those 7?
Are 5 going to come?
5 starters going to come from those 7?
No.
Oh, so there's a chance that one of the newcomers could start. Okay.
Yep.
Who have been some of the newcomers that have really taken step forward to be in spot in rotation?
Davenport's transferred in and done really, really well. And my 4 incoming freshmen, they have killed it this summer in the weight room and on court. And granted, they have their fresh mistakes every day, right? But they are pushing our upperclassmen every single day.
What happened with the Oregon transfer, Jenna Sai? What happened there?
She needed to go home for personal reasons, so she's taken the year off.
So is there a chance she could come back, or what's?
I don't know. I mean, that's completely up to her. Yep.
So she's very portable.
Yep.
Does that mean you have an opening that you'll go in with 12, with not your full contingent of scholarship?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep, but I don't want to fill it with just anybody. So if somebody's coming in a half year, we had 2 come in a half year last year, and thankfully we had at least 1 scholarship for that. But yeah, right now I don't need to fill it, because I just don't want to fill it with just anyone.
What additional resources or commitment have you seen from the program getting ready for this move to the Big 12?
BYU, the administration has been really, really good. We operated like we were in the Big 12 last year. So like the way we travel, the way we eat, when we left, things like that. So just so that the change this year wouldn't be so drastic. And so they've kind of already been playing or living that way. And so now they're going to actually be heading out on the court to take that. And so I feel like the changes aren't drastic off court. It's just on court that we need to change.
What slowed down for you in year 2? You said that you were basically drinking from a fire hose in year 1. What's been the biggest thing that's changed or slowed down for you?
Well, if you think about last year, I had 0 staff to start out with. So I had to hire everyone across the board. This year, I just had to hire 1 coach. And then everybody's kind of stepped into a role that they feel comfortable with and they want to own. And so it's become very evident to who's good at what. And so everybody just kind of coaches to their strengths, and everybody is involved and has an input. And I feel like it's way more cohesive this year.
What kind of a difference has that one coaching hire that you had to make this offseason made in bringing John back home, I like to say?
Oh my gosh, he's like a rock for me. He keeps, I get sometimes a little crazy in practice as far as like how many times we're going to do a defensive drill. So he actually has he's X's and O's wise, he's a genius as far as that goes. And so I had a vision of what I wanted to see inputted, and he kind of took it and ran with it. And it's been really, really neat to see sometimes I just called him this morning and I said, hey, can you make sure X, Y, and Z happens in practice? And he had already changed it on the practice schedule. So for me, he's finishing my sentences, he's doing things. So I have a lot of trust in what he knows and just let him execute it.
You talk about your players having to buy into playing all that defense. Everybody loves to play defense until they have to practice defense like you do every day, right? Does your staff also have to kind of buy into that defensive philosophy, I guess? John and Lee and Morgan and everybody?
Lee loves offense and loves shooting a three, so he's that way. Morgan's always been defensively oriented, but she loves both sides of the ball. She's great on. And John actually talked me out of working on defense this summer to get ready for Italy because we wanted to implement something new. And so every time a non-box out or it didn't rotate right, or I would just look across the court at him and he's like, coach, we got it. So, but we've been able to work on defense all fall, and it's been awesome to see the girls buy in. It's been awesome to see. It's almost like they needed that time off too, so that we could refresh. So yeah, they're all on board with defense. Don't get me wrong.
Does that mean you've assigned coaches, like you have a defensive coach and an offensive coach? Is that how
Morgan's mostly posts, well, all posts, I would say, both sides of the ball, because she's phenomenal at what she needs to do with them on both sides of the ball. Lee does all the out of bounds plays and all the sideline out of bounds plays for us. And then John's just he's implementing the offense, what we want to do. And then him and I coordinate on like what I want to see on defense. And then I'm just kind of over all of it.
And then did you get what you wanted out of the transfer portal? Were you kind of happy, or do you feel like there were maybe needs that you didn't quite get what you needed?
We had everybody back except for a couple. And I feel like, aside from losing Jenna, I feel like we got what we wanted. Davenport's huge out of the portal for us, and she brings a lot of experience and a lot of both sides of the ball for us, essentially. So I am happy with what we did.
What's the dynamic with you and these Big 12 coaches? Did you have any pre-existing relationships with any of these coaches in the league before you got into this thing?
Yeah, from when they recruited Amari, some of them have, and so I had that. And then we played Oklahoma, so I had her. And then going into the Big 12 meeting, the coaches meeting in Texas, they just all have been very welcoming, and a couple of them sat down by me, okay, pick my brain, advice, like what, and it's just, they've been really, really awesome. Now, when we get on court, I know that's going to change. They aren't nice then, but it's nice now.
You mentioned Amari, 100% ready to go, as good as she was before injury, but where's she at?
We're limited minutes right now, and she's still trying to figure out her rhythm, because she hasn't played for a year. So that part is coming back little by little, and just getting back her, her stamina of where she was. So not necessarily where she was before, but she's getting there.
What's been maybe the most challenging thing for her getting back to where she was before?
I think trusting herself and trusting her legs again, right? Because that's always, that's injury's huge, and it takes a lot on you mentally. So I think just that part, getting back to it.
How do you feel like BYU is doing for women's basketball on the NIL space, on the NIL front? Do you feel like you're right there with some of your colleagues around the Big 12?
Well, I don't know exactly. I've heard numbers thrown around in the Big 12, right? I don't know where they are. But BYU's been supportive in everything that we've done, so I can't complain on that front at all. And we always, I don't like promising what I don't have. And so we've made do on everything up to this point. So.
How much of a conversation has that been with transfers or recruits about NIL with you?
Sometimes I don't like the question, right? Like, I don't want up front, how much NIL am I going to get? So if a kid asks me that at the very first conversation, I probably don't go back to that kid. And that's just me being old school. Like, I want that to be like a question at the end, or a question that I have to say, hey, how come you haven't asked me about NIL, right? Because those are the type of kids that basketball's first and foremost. School comes next. And those are the type of kids I want to recruit. So that's kind of where I go.
Has women's basketball been, from your perspective, as volatile as the men's side when it comes to roster management and making sure almost every day, making sure everyone's happy and you got all the pieces in place?
Yeah, and I think that the transfer portal makes it so like grass is always greener, right? So I just try and stay true to who I am and true to myself. And the players I have genuine connections with them or relationships with them. So at the end of the day, if they want to transfer and that is what's going to make them happy and they're not and successful, then I'm going to be okay with that because I know that I've done my work on the back end of it. So
I wanted to ask you too about Lauren Gustin. What's the potential for her?
I hear you eat what you kill. I'm coming, bro.
The potential for her in this league and does her game translate to this conference thing?
I think so. She has a motor, and that's half the battle, right? To be able to that want and that need to go for boards, and she wants to be the league or the league's leading rebounder, and she wants that. So I know if she wants it, she's going to get it done.
Are you involved with international players much, or are you kind of your recruiting philosophy? And the second part of that question is, can you win with just LDS kids?
I have a girl from Spain on my roster right now, and I have 2 from New Zealand. And so we definitely go international, and we have a couple that we're in the mix for right now that I've offered. So international is huge for us. And yeah, the best LDS kids I can get, and then we want to fill in the pieces. Like, I don't believe that we should only be that way, but I also believe that it's staying true to who we are, and it's where the culture fit is, and then outside of that, we're open arms for everyone.
What growth have you seen from Nani from last year to becoming an all-WCC player now?
The experience that she got last year, being on the court, probably 95% of the reps, is invaluable, and she brings a lot of that back with her. I feel like she's a good leader for the young ones too. You know, she kind of takes them under her wing, and she has a way about her of like teaching them in a positive manner, and so that's really helpful for them and calming, I would say too, because if you want to have a leader that's going to get in your face and scream, as a young one, you might not be successful taking that in. So, but she's very calming in that nature and helps them through what they need to be helped through.
Last year you said something, I think it was at Midnight Madness, where you hope to one day maybe see 10,000 fans at the Marriott Center for a game. Do you think this move to the Big 12 can really ignite the fan base to support BYU women's basketball more?
For sure. I think they've doubled the season ticket sales this year in just 1 year, right? So we gotta put a product out that people want to come watch. So that's on us to do that, and so we got to go win some games and put that out there so they want to come watch.
Thanks.